Hello and welcome to episode 18. As I'm now 2 weeks into my sabbatical, I've been having a wonderful time and I'm getting lots of comedy-related work done. But I feel I've been missing the repartee, the badinage, the vibe of The Office. So with that in mind, I've asked Parsons to comment, while you're down there, love, if I ever bend over, and also judge me harshly for not drinking warm drink. For the record, no, I don't drink coffee, and no, I don't like tea, brackets builders, all the way through to green. Hello and welcome to the podcast.
There we go. Welcome to the podcast. Your sabbatical has started. Have you stopped pestering the female colleagues with Spice Girls banter?
That is relating to something from last week.
Was it? Did we? I wonder if that was in the episode that never made it.
No, that did go out.
That did.
Did it?
Did it?
Might have done.
Might have done.
We did have an episode that didn't end up going out. Audio issues.
Yes, we've had a bit. We've been plagued by that a little bit recently. So sorry about that, everyone.
I did remember because there was a line that you said in it that you really said.
I really said in it.
And it was that you said you would have fancied my dad when he was younger.
I definitely would have fancied your dad.
And I was gutted that didn't go out.
So should we just give the context for that? And
no.
No, whatever.
No, we were talking about my Edinburgh, my show.
So let's do that now, actually. We might as well revisit it, because I think it was a good chat.
We were just talking about my sabbatical and what I was aiming to get out of it, and the fact that I've got a show coming up at MacFest, which is a lovely little festival.
Oh, if you're a comedy fan and you want to go and experience watching comedians in classrooms...
It
sounds so shit, but it's one of the most magical festivals there are for comedy. If you're a real comedy fan, you'll see a lot of the upcomers, some of the big guns, yeah. Some of the big guns smashing out some newer material or new tour shows that they're working up for Edinburgh, and it's always just everyone's a stone's throw away, so you can go and watch everything. And Machynlleth is a wonderful place.
Yeah, really lovely.
In Wales.
I drove there when we did it last year, and I pulled into the car park, and the person in my way was Mike Wozniak, and I was like, oh great.
It's what a person. And I can only imagine him sort of clowning around, being in your way.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah.
And then you walk through and you instantly bump into loads of comics you know. It's just a lovely, lovely place. It was sunny as well.
It was sunny, and we sold out, no one knows us.
It was great.
It was a lovely time.
It's one of those places that it's kind of this own little world for 3 days. It's wonderful. So I'm doing that. It's very much build, and it very much will be a new material sort of work in progress show for people who don't know what that means. I have been writing stuff now, and I'll go up to Mac and I'll test it out and I'll see whether that works. I've got some ideas that I've been throwing into shows.
So yeah, have you got some grand plans of what this show will be about? Obviously you don't want to give away too much of the material or the detail, but
I am flitting between two things, and at the moment, because I'm still quite early in my sabbatical, I am just basically writing whatever comes into my head. If stuff is funny that comes out of it, great. If it's more that I wanted to write it down. So as we know, as we've discussed on this, I'm interested in dumber phones. I'd love to talk about...
if you've just picked up when we hadn't talked about that, dumb phones are like phones that are shit that are still for sale.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're like smartphones.
You're the problem.
They're like smartphones, but they don't do any of the things you actually want it to do.
Yeah, for the reason that you don't want to be addicted to your phone.
Yeah, but also, come on.
But anyway, I think as somebody who has tried to come off a smartphone and found it really difficult, I think I would love to write about that. I think that'd be a really interesting show for people to hear as well. I think everyone has that sort of... that it's sort of like people are sober curious. People are curious about the idea of getting rid of their phones or not using it as much. Yeah, I agree. And I think one thing if I were to write a show on that, one thing I don't want it to be is preachy, and because I'm not off my smartphone yet. If you're watching this on YouTube, you saw that I read the intro off my smartphone. It's hard. This world is designed for smartphones.
Whereas if you ever watched any of my intros, I read them from a distance of my laptop and badly.
Yes, yeah. Of course, because your phone is doing the filming.
Yeah, because my phone is doing the third angle.
But I wouldn't want it to be preachy, and I'm really intrigued by writing a show that I think everybody knows that while phones offer massive amounts of benefits, and I'm not negating that, and I completely agree with that. I think everybody knows in the back of their minds, they're like, these probably aren't great.
I don't think I need social media anymore, which is nice. I mean, I do, obviously, for my career, but sure. I don't need to be looking at it in recreational ways. Although I do love TikTok. I say that.
I was going to say.
I do like TikTok because the algorithm knows me and only shows me nice things.
But so part of my show, there's part of me that's thinking I'm writing about that and writing about my experience of trying to come off a phone. And actually, if I am not the idiot in it, but if I have tried, attempted and failed, I think people more want to hear about that than they want to hear me go, 28% of people can't not have their phone in their hand while they're doing a poo. Like...
I like the idea of you performing it like John Cooper Clarke. John Cooper Clarke
mobile
does phone
phones. Stats. 28% mobile phones, vacuum cleaners, back in the room. That was my...
didn't expect vacuum cleaners to make it to make it to the final draft of that poem.
So this is how the writing's going, everybody. It's sort of...
You've always written live.
I just brain dump.
For listeners who aren't super au fait with comic practices, what is your writing system?
Sorry, are you my dad? Why are you asking me this?
What are you planning to do in 5 years' time?
I'm joking. My writing system. So at the moment, I am setting myself 30 minutes timers. So there's fairly dull. I won't sort of bore people with it, but go into the Pomodoro method, which is a method of making a pasta sauce. It takes 30 minutes to reduce it. And basically what that means is you can sit in a topic. So I might have a joke in my head. I might say, I want to talk about bananas. The issue there is Parsons has seen me look at bananas and the only thing I could think of was bananas.
It's fine, you have to start somewhere.
So I might go, I want to write a joke about, I've got a funny thing about bananas and the fact that they're always green these days, right?
But they are.
They are always green.
If you go into a Sainsbury's, I think they only sell green.
Something has gone wrong.
Isn't that a plantain?
Something has gone wrong with bananas.
Maybe we're just looking at plantains.
But, so what I will now do is I'll set myself 30 minutes and all I can write about is bananas and around that and what's going on with them. And that then means
what's going on with bananas, guys?
But that then means that you
And about airplane food.
You end up having... thoughts on stuff that you just wouldn't have if you only dipped in and dipped out of it for 2 minutes.
Because you'd go into why to leave the EU, to straighten bananas, and then you...
Oh, it all links back to the EU.
links back to the EU.
Why do you think phones haven't got the... Anyway.
Well, you heard my dictatorship last week.
But that allows me to write stuff. So I've been writing stuff. I've got some stuff that I went to the library and I wrote for 2 hours, just in 30-minute bursts, had a little break. It was great. I really, really enjoyed it.
I see. I've never done that method, but it's interesting that it works.
I came out of the library with... I wrote for 2 hours in total, and I came out with a piece of material that I tried that night, which is part of the reason I love this game.
This game. Oh, can you never say that again?
Sorry.
That's the most nauseating thing I've ever heard.
Part of the reason that
Part of the reason I love this game.
Part of the reason
All that was missing is a cigarette out the side of your mouth.
That's the reason why I love this game.
Part of the reason I love this is because you get up and you can try something and you know instantly with a crowd whether it works or it doesn't.
You know if it didn't work with that crowd. I do sometimes think you need to work... There'll be things that aren't working, but the idea might still be good.
Yeah, but you often, even if it doesn't work with that crowd, even if there's a peak of an interest... That's something where you go, well, there's enough interest in that once I find the funny bit. For example, I've actually got an idea. I've been talking about phones, writing about phones. I've also been writing about my dad. As we've discussed on this, my dad passed away in 2013. And so I'm thinking of writing a show about that, about him and the fact that he swam for Hong Kong in the Commonwealth Games. Hence the comment where you said you'd fancy my dad when he was younger.
Yes, because your dad was fit.
Well, there we go. Right. So... in terms of... I don't really know what to...
Yeah, he's fit. Fair enough.
Would you say that he is fit or he was fit?
Well, he was fit because I don't know what he was like in his latter years.
Big lad.
But I'm judging this based on the fact he swam for the Commonwealth Games.
Yeah, he was in good shape.
Well, not for the Commonwealth Games, in the Commonwealth Games. Yeah. He wasn't flying the flag for the Commonwealth like Russian athletes have to do. Although they wouldn't be in the Commonwealth Games.
Hong Kong, China, the Commonwealth Games.
The athletes of Russia. Olympic athletes, isn't it? It's the Olympic athletes.
IOC.
The IOC. Those are the ones from countries where it's slightly war-torn, isn't it? Or they can't represent their country for various reasons. LGBT... there's a lot of LGBT athletes in that. But
which is interesting that their flag is so dull and white.
Yeah. Come on.
But anyway, I've been writing about thoughts, feelings, things about Dad, just to see whether I can get anything. And so I had a thought that when I was younger, my dad used to get into a taxi with us, and he would pretend he was from the place the taxi was from to try and save money. So
what, the manufacturer?
No.
So Volkswagen goes in with a German accent.
Don't be getting into a Hyundai.
Dankeschön.
But he would get in, if we were in Croydon, he would get in and he put on a proper geezer accent.
Would he?
And he would lie, and he would say, my mum used to live on Legland Lane. But I remember a time...
So he would watch a road go by, point to the sign and go, oh, my mum used to live down there. My mum used to live down there.
Not necessarily. He would sort of know a place, because he did do a lot of work all over the country for his job. So I think he'd have like a working man's knowledge of Croydon.
Would he ever do it like in, like, I don't know, Liverpool?
Yeah.
Was he good at it?
So in Croydon, he started doing this to this cabbie. We were all sat in the back, and he was proper sort of geezering it up, and he was like, yeah, my mum lived down fucking, da-da-da. And the cabbie went, no way, my mum lives down there. And I could just think,
Could you see him pedal?
We were in the back, and we were like, mate, he's doing this because he thinks this will stop us being scammed by a taxi driver. The days before Uber, right? The days before you could be like, mate, come on. We've all got Google Maps.
That's really stopped the scamming taxi drivers, isn't it? The price of Ubers.
So, and that my dad he then riffed this story that she'd moved out of that place. He riffed it. It was brilliant. It was like improv at the highest order.
Blagging. You're good at blagging.
I'm quite good at blagging.
That's where you get it from.
So,
I love that story. That is perfect.
So I thought that's a really fun story. I then thought, I'm going to mention that on stage just to see if there's any interest. And people were interested enough in it, and a few people tapped each other. And I think in comedy, when you see someone tap somebody, you usually like that.
That's a bit like someone I know is often that means, oh, it's like your dad or whatever.
So the idea got enough titters. I don't have the punchline. I don't have the bit yet. I do think what you just said about he wasn't doing the cars.
Can't wait till he gets a taxi in Nigeria or something like that.
I did say it where I did try. The first initial thing that I tried was that we got in and the driver was Jamaican, and my dad turned around and winked at us, and then did it in a proper...
What Olympic Games did he do? Commonwealth Games? Hong Kong.
Yeah.
It's there for you on a plate.
It's really interesting.
That's actually not a bad callback.
Yeah.
As a part... honest opinion?
But I do want to just say that my joke wasn't that he ended up doing a Jamaican accent in that bit that I just said. The joke was that he turned around, winked at us, and then just went into a full-on Cockney accent again because we were still in Croydon. That bit wasn't a big enough payoff, and there was tension in the room of, but the idea got enough that I'm now going to sit and write and work on it. So anyway, I want to give an example of that.
I like that. I love that sentence. I'm a sentiment boy, and I think there's loads in the fact that your dad swam in the Commonwealth Games. I think there's more in that than the other thing, but the other thing feels like a good... it still feels like there's lots of material in it. I just think the thing that I would want to watch most is a man talking about the sort of what it's like being the son of a Commonwealth Games athlete. I mean, you probably think there's not really much there, but what other people think of that is interesting.
Yeah.
You've also got the fact that he's died. That's interesting. Obviously, brackets sad. But there's just more in that for me to get my teeth into than someone talking to me. Because I get a bit protected over the fact that I don't use my phone. There's a tension in there for me, and I think everyone feels that. Like, we all know we shouldn't.
But
it's a very hard challenge to make that feel not lectury.
That's the interesting thing for me. So I'm sort of thinking of, for example, Stuart Goldsmith. Goldsmith has written a show about climate change, and I went to see it in Early Work in Progress with Esther, and we had a lovely old time. And afterwards, we sat and chatted to Stu, and it was really interesting him talking about, I don't want this to be a lecture, but I still want to get my points across. And there's part of me that's like, I do want the challenge of, I want to talk about this thing that I care about, but I don't mind being the idiot in it. So, for example, when I didn't have a smartphone, the amount of times you get your phone out and I would be on my Nokia checking a calculator. And I think that sort of stuff.
But that's just because you love tax.
Yeah, but that sort of stuff is, I think people can relate to, and people are like,
and you're shit at maths,
and I am shit at maths. But in terms of, I completely agree. I think ultimately the ultimate goal is the show about Dad, but I do think I want to write both while I'm here.
Well, you can't solidly do an hour on your dad.
No,
but so there can be a mix, which I know that you've talked about, a blended version where you get both ideas out, and you know that the thing to do at the moment is just to write the show.
Yep. Well, it's just writing at the moment.
Write the bits and then see if a show comes out. But I do really love some of the memories because there's loads of other things that we've talked about your dad and stuff over the years. And there's so many funny bits that you can do. I
sat with our friend Chris, and we sort of talked about it. We did some writing together. I find that really helpful as well. I really like writing with people. I really like talking with people, and something often funny.
In an ideal world, you'd like them to write the show.
Not write the show. I want to be there.
You want to be in the room.
Yeah.
You want to write. So, Chris, my dad, Commonwealth Games, go.
Work with
I guess. Just go, I reckon.
I like to do it in a collaborative way, but...
And you know I don't.
Yeah, sort of.
We're very different in the way we write, actually. We couldn't be more different.
Yeah, we'll come on. I was going to ask you about yours, don't worry.
We talked about one, I think.
Actually, I think we probably have about your show. But Chris basically mentioned, we sort of talked through what I wanted to talk about, and Chris was like, I think what you want to talk about, or what this sort of boils down to, is what you want in life are moments, and you don't want things getting in the way of your moments. You don't want your phone ruining a moment.
He's spot on there.
You don't want somebody else's phone ruining your moment. When your dad passed away, you wanted, as I think everybody does, you want a moment of, is this the moment that I feel okay?
I think we talked about this on the podcast, where you sort of have this, like, you want that perfect moment of grief, really, and it's sort of to be summarised in the atmosphere and the way it feels, and you can't get it.
Yeah,
it's a really, really. This is why Chris is fucking good.
I think it's a very astute point, and something that I was like, I could write a show that combines the two, and the phones could be a 10-minute bit in a longer, an hour-long show, because they are important to me for having these moments. But I'm at the moment, I'm just writing. I'm just seeing what comes out. I've written some stuff that I really, really like about me and my partner, and I will say with that, I don't ever want to be in a position where I'm moaning, and I don't want to be one of those.
It's not your vibe. It's
not
never been your vibe. You've never moaned about partners and stuff on stage.
I've been writing stuff about our hobbies that we share together and how much I'm enjoying those. And actually, one thing I've said to you is I'm really enjoying comics at the moment who are positive on stage. And I do moan about stuff, and there are things on stage that I will go, oh, isn't that a bit shit? But there's something really nice about going on and being like, this is great. It's harder to make it funny.
It is harder to make it funny. But, I mean, I sort of had that challenge with a few things that I was doing. Eventually, I filtered out to find the negative stuff, as we all do, because it's easier to make it laugh. I want to have a rant. That's what I really want. Everything I do in comedy boils down to, can I rant about it at some stage?
Ranting is funny.
So much fun.
Speaking of ranting, I got here a little bit earlier, and we wandered down to, I'm going to say...
Are we happy? Are we done with your writing stuff?
Yeah, I think that we are going to come back to that gradually, and there'll be updates from MacFest and things like that. So I don't want to bore people with it too much.
No, but it's interesting for I think generally processes are different, aren't they?
Yeah, I also think that it's going to be really interesting for people if you listen to this and engage with us as well. You'll see some of the output of Mac stuff. There might be some clips that we put out.
Well, it's up to you on that one. I would never put anything that hasn't got the veneer of polish on, apart from this podcast. That I put out without any polish.
But what I was going to say was we arrived, and me and you both had a massive rant about delivery companies.
Oh my God, delivery companies. Right. Am I allowed off my leash to moan freely?
You are.
Can I use the biggest C-bomb?
I would say we save the C-bomb. I'm just going to run through... I don't know why I said that. I'm just going to run through some delivery companies, and I just want a quick one-word take on them.
Happily.
They
will... One word.
No, go for it.
Every. What they'll do is if you've got a fragile thing, they will launch it over your fence to deliver it. They'll treat your package as a shot put next.
But there is one thing about Every that I quite like, and that is that they know their shit. At least they've accepted.
Do they?
Yeah, well, they get like, we charge 4p. They're like, come on.
Oh, I don't know.
You know what you're getting. Royal Mail,
fine, but they will sometimes not knock on your door, and you will sometimes have to wait another 2 days for it to be redelivered.
DHL, the yellow one.
DHL, broadly fine. I don't seem to have so many issues with DHL.
Quite official.
Very official. Very yellow.
Tie, yeah.
Very yellow.
DPD.
DPD are, I think, the worst. And I'll go on to why in a minute.
Yeah, I agree. I can't think of any more. Parcel Force, do they still exist?
I think they're fine, aren't they, broadly?
I think they're too expensive. I think they've priced us out.
I don't know who the man who just is always in a silver Vauxhall Astra, one of the friendliest men. I think he might be every, actually, and he always delivers with a smile on his face.
Well, of course he does, because he's not fucking putting anything anywhere it needs to be.
He's in a Vauxhall Astra.
He's having the time of his life.
No, he's all right. Every's all right. It's D8, DFS, DPD. They're the problem.
Yeah, no, let's keep that.
Yes, no, DPD are the problem.
Yeah.
The reason why is that every time I get a DPD delivery man, and it is every time, I get a picture of my main road and it says, sorry, you weren't in. Well, no, I wasn't under the fucking manhole cover. No, Jesus, where do you think I live? And they've not gone anywhere near my house. And I was in. I stayed in to accept said delivery, and they're like, "No, we're going to just put it really conveniently in a sort of market that they won't know what they're doing." We'll get to that in a second. We'll pop that in a sort of a weird like mini market where they also sell like foreign mobile phones and that kind of thing. You loved it. We'll pop it in one of those really tiny corner shops where no one really knows what to do with this scenario. Oh, and by the way, it won't be the one like one of the 10 that are on the little triangle in which you live. No, it'll be one about a 25-minute walk away. They might as well have given it they might as well have posted it to Barnsley and come on, make your own way up there.
It was mad. Why is it? I don't know, one, why it's so far, because there are other DPD shops. Two, when we went in, one, that corner shop has too much stuff.
It was, which I love about this corner shop.
Very sweet, very nice, but it did have to, you felt like you were sort of...
I want corner shops to feel perilous.
Well,
that's a proper corner shop.
You got what you wanted.
If they've put everything they own and everything that could ever be sold, including like extension leads, fishing rods, crabbing rods, in the middle of central London, sort of a fishing net at the back, and then also for some reason 3 washing machines just stacked on the corner. That's what I want from a corner shop. I want it to be just higgledy-piggledy and shit. But one thing I can always guarantee is they never know what to do when you say, "Oh, I've got a parcel delivered." They go, "Parcel? What's a parcel? What's your name?" And you go, "This is my name. What my address?" "I don't know what your address is." No one knows. Have you ever met anyone who knows?
No, but this guy today genuinely tried to scan your barcode and then went, "Oh, for fuck's sake."
Yeah, they hate it. Everyone hates it. None of us want to be doing it. It's not the supermarket's fault, or the sort of, I say the supermarket, the mini market's fault. It's not it's not the corner shop's fault. It is the delivery companies who have tried to make a shortcut and made a very long cut.
It's mad as well. And if I get something delivered to a place where I have to go pick it up, and I'm very fortunate there's some close to me, if it's a corner shop, I'll often try and buy something as well, because that's kind of the reason they do it, right?
We didn't earlier.
No, not today. Come on.
Yeah, they didn't have a great chocolate selection. Anyway.
No, they didn't.
And also that's
Star Bar.
Have you found that some corner shops, when you buy chocolate from them, it's like when you get chocolate at your grandma's house and it's a bit white?
Yeah, of course.
It's all a bit like...
Is this us taking them down from the inside?
My corner shop down the road, the one that I go to when I need milk urgently.
Sure.
Because we all need urgent milk.
Is it 24-hour?
It's a latey. And often, and as we all know, Sainsbury's cannot be open past 3 p.m. on a Sunday, apparently.
It is mad. There was a 24-hour shop where I used to live in Earlsfield, and I loved it. Crystals. You could go in at any point.
It just makes you feel alive, doesn't it? You walk past it, you go, "Oh, I've had a life. I'm going into the Lysa mobile."
I just used to always
go and pick up a Twix. This is the way I'm living the dream.
But I used to be like, "This is London.
Yes.
This is why I live here."
It's so true.
You don't get this if you move out. If you're in
the sticks. You may get a massive Asda where you can get everything you'll ever need, but you wouldn't get a Sainsbury's that closes at 4 p.m. with almost none of its stock there by 12.
Yeah.
Oh, the Crystal Palace Sainsbury's is so shit. It is so shit. It's such a middle-class area. Why haven't we got more supermarkets? And I'm talking about a Waitrose or an M&S.
Space?
Yeah, get rid of the Iceland. Who's using that?
Is there an Iceland?
Yeah, it's an Iceland.
Oh, it's on the high street.
Or get rid of a Cafe Nero. There's about 150 cafes, and all of them are better than Cafe Nero. Sorry, Cafe Nero. Imagine if they wanted to sponsor this and they were listening, going, "Well, we're not going to do it now."
No, I've never been there, as you heard at the start. I don't drink hot drinks.
No, you don't, and you will never drink.
Oh, if
hot
they
drinks.
paid us enough, I'd have a sip.
Don't drink hot drinks.
Yeah, it's interesting. People really don't like that I don't drink hot drinks.
No, I don't, because I think hot drinks are brilliant.
I would always much prefer to be drinking something cold. I just water is great.
Water is great. Now,
hot take for today.
Welcome to the water podcast.
Last week it was something about not being able to see very well. Today,
yes.
Your hot take last week was it must be quite hard to not be able to see.
Yes.
Based on the restaurant
Based on the restaurant I went to.
Today, my hot take is water is great.
Water is great.
I love it.
I'm with that. Yeah.
I briefly, when I came in, I noticed on your screen ChatGPT was up.
Yes.
And we aren't going to have a fully fledged...
I'm glad that you didn't look at the private health details one.
No.
Which was just me trying to get a diagnosis via ChatGPT before I went to the GP to see if they matched.
Because your doctor didn't do it properly.
They didn't do it properly.
And I briefly saw that...
Basically, ChatGPT won.
9 out of 10 queries were about cats or kittens.
Yes. Is it right that a kitten does this? Is it right if a kitten does this?
So we won't do a fully fledged ChatGPT diaries, but we will do a Christopher update. For anybody that doesn't know, Christopher is Parsons' little cat.
Yes.
So I want to know how he is.
How are you, mate? He's just under having a little snooze. He likes sleeping whilst we do these now.
And that is our audience. Pop it in while you go to sleep. Keep on listening.
We are very much the radio that he needs. But he's wonderful, but he's hit the terrible twos. So within the first year of a kitten's life, they go up to like teenage years to like being an adult cat and sort of achieving what their personality is going to be like by one. At the moment, his personality is, oh, you're awake. Let's make your life a genuine chaos for about 3 hours.
You were going to say misery.
Yeah, it's not a misery because it's fun. Because it's kind because you giggle at him because he's going mental. He does like, which you hate, cat zoomies, where he's bouncing off the walls, he's jumping all over the flat. And I've got so used to that now and so relaxed with all the furniture, it doesn't bother me even slightly. But the thing I do want him to stop doing is chewing active leads. That's one thing I'd like him to stop playing with leads. Anything linear, he seems to think is like a game.
Yeah, you're also, your house is quite sleek and there's not many leads, so he does a good job to hide and seek them. Yeah,
he can find them, the little prick. But he's wonderful because he's got that lovely mixture of very playful, but he's a lap cat.
He definitely is.
So he wants to sit on your lap as soon as you're on the sofa and having a chill. I mean, he still sometimes is a bit mental, and then he'll eventually chill out. And that's the dream, isn't it? That's what you want from a cat. You want to be able to hug it at night, and I just lock him in the lounge when I go to bed.
I was writing this intro, and I was just on my phone, sat on the sofa writing the intro, and he just came straight over, stood on me, and he was like, yes, no, I'm here, so I just had to give up on that.
The cat has no boundaries. He's an extroverted cat who genuinely, like, I walked in yesterday, and he was on the back of a chair, and the chair tipped. He fell to the floor, massive bang. And normally a cat would sort of scuttle off under the sofa. He just stood at it and went, I wonder why that happened, and then just clambered on top of it, and then started to sort of try and fall asleep on it. I was like, you are just so unfazed by the chaos that you create. But I love him. He's got such a lovely personality. I know you talked that you were going to potentially take him outside. Not for a while. Yeah, okay. I'm sort of. He will go outside, not freely. He'll be on a lead because I live on a main road and there's no direct access out to the house. If he were to go on the main road, the DPD driver would take a photo of it. Yeah. Sorry you weren't in. But your cat was. He was going down the manhole cover. Lifted it off. I was going to ask, as somebody who hasn't got any pets, was there? It's quite a big investment and time sink. Not quite the right word, but I know what you mean. Was there a point where you were like, "This has changed things"? Oh, it's changed everything because you can't just go out because you always have to go. Well, I don't want to leave him for too long. Yeah. Like when I went out with my mum and my brother, that was this first full half day where I wasn't around, and I came back from a gig the other night on Friday, and I was home at midnight. And he was so happy to see me, which is awkward because normally when you get in, you just want to wind down and then go to bed and try and sort of get yourself de-adrenalined and then off to bed. And often doing that is just sitting and watching sad politics on TV for me whilst eating a Twix. That seems to be my decompress. But when I've not been there for 8 hours, he is like, I'm so fucking ready for you right now. And he's bouncing off the walls. He wants to be played with. And so you can't really decompress. So, but that will change. As he gets older, he'll get less playful. He's at that point where he's sort of trying to push the boundaries a little bit. And he's working out what's right and what's wrong.
But he's very, very sweet.
He's just gorgeous.
I
love him. I'm in love with my little kitten. He's amazing.
He is very, very nice. And that's what you get when you go pedigree.
That's what you get when you go pedigree.
I'm joking. I've had rescue cats and they are...
Well, all of mine have been rescued for my whole life. But I just wanted to make sure that I've got a cat that's happy to be indoors.
Yeah. And he seems it.
He seems very happy. I mean, he's just... His ears are pricked back at the moment. It's like I think he reckons he knows he's being heard. Heard? He's being talked about. Good sentence.
I'm being heard.
I'm being so heard right now. Guys, I'm being so heard.
I think that's probably it.
Sorry.
So
sorry about that.
Daffy Duck.
Yes, I reckon it is. Guys, it's been a pleasure as always. Thank you so much for joining us. And do give us little comments, give us little reviews, please. Actually, please review it.
Yeah, please review it. And also ask questions, throw stuff you want us to talk about, because that's always fun.
Yes.
You don't mind that?
Don't mind that. Just get in touch.
We're here.
Everything's in the description.
So this is episode 18, is
episode
it?
18.
So then we've got episode 19, and then we have the episode 20, which is going to be a coming out special.
Yes, we're doing a coming out special on the 20th episode, which is going to be all the gory details of my coming out journey and a straight man.
And me.
But it might be helpful for those who may know people who have gone through it recently or may be going through it at the time. Because I think it's one of the questions I got asked quite a lot over the years as what it was like and some of the things so it's just something that's quite handy. Some of you would have gone through it and you won't give a shit.
Yep.
But and if that's you, that's fine. But we're going to do one anyway for those who need help coming out.
If you do have any questions for that, and you obviously, we are more than happy to keep those anonymous. I'm happy to ask them in a funny voice. If that helps. Do
specify what accent
you want them in. Within reason.
No, actually, that's a good thing. So if you have any questions for the coming out special, do remember that Emslie's going to be asking them. So do specify an accent.
And we won't reveal who you are
unless you want to be revealed on who you are. So just say I want to be revealed.
Oh no! Did I tell you that I once did
Don't worry, no one ever gets in touch anyway.
Did I tell you that I once did that in an office? Somebody came over to me and said, "Oh, I've got a question for you," and I went, "Yeah, you can ask it, but give me 1 second." And I loaded up an accent wheel and I span it.
I love that.
And the accents on it. There were some
risky ones.
There were some risky ones on there, but no, landed on English, British. Off she went.
Oh, that's annoying.
I know.
You want it to go on Irish, don't
everybody around me went, "This is great." Everyone was like, "Here we go," and then they're like, "Oh, spin it again."
Look at you. You could do this with audience interaction, couldn't you?
Could be dangerous.
Well, my next show is going to be a sort of. So I'm actually going to do this now, so I'm happy to reveal it. It's not, I don't know when, but my next show is going to be a show, I don't know the title yet, I've got working titles, but it's going to be a show that's completely improvised. Not like improv, like give me a location and a time and a subject for a thing. None of that.
Thank God they're better.
Well, I just tried to improv that sentence and it was bad. But it's basically, it will be a fun, loose show where I sort of build it as I go. And I really like working with an audience and sort of seeing what happens in a room and creating an energy. So I thought, well, what a challenge for my next show.
Well, there we go. That's a little thing.
So I've had 2 weeks break from my stand-up show, from my actual last tour show, and I've got a new idea.
Well, that's very much you. But thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. It's been a pleasure.
Never at all.
So be good yourself. All right.
Bye.